Everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Screaming Chuy Show. And I'd like to welcome special guest, actor, producer, voice actor, Philip Galinsky. How you doing, Philip?
Good, good. Thank you for that wonderful intro.
Yeah, man, I'm excited, man. And man, you've been putting in a lot of work, man. You've been on Comedy Central, MTV, Law and Order, Grand Theft Auto 5. You were the
Yeah,
kidnapper, right?
yeah. I got to kidnap Jonah Hill, which is
Yeah.
fun.
That was a cool mission, by the way. That was pretty lit.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people are like, "What is it?" I said, "I think it's near the end, and I think it was called parenting, or something like that."
Yeah, you have
I'm
to
not
get
sure. It
some.
changes all the time when you play it, I guess.
Oh, that's crazy. That makes sense though.
Yeah.
And
My line is, or what everybody would know me from is, um, really? How big's this herd? Me. That's my
I love it.
That's the line. That's the line that the kids go crazy for. And then when I did Dora the Explorer, I was a bear that steals birthday cakes, and Dora teaches me how to bake birthday cakes so I don't steal anymore.
Yo, that's cool as fuck.
Yeah, yeah. And that's a good one because when I'm in the supermarket, I'll talk like the bear, and the little kids will be like, "Oh my god,
Their eyes light up.
I love birthday cake," you know. But if you go to my website, if you go to, well, if you go to philipgalinsky.com, all the stuff will be there. And then my latest thing, 31 Triggers, is running now. And then I'm doing another live show of the book in the end of September in New York City. So that's going to be fun.
Nice, man. Exciting. And tell me about your book, man. 31 Triggers.
Yeah. So the book is kind of based on loosely loosely based on Baskin Robbins, the ice cream place, where they have 31 flavors, but there's 31 triggers, and it usually revolves every month. There's a couple of new ones, and so they're just things that either trigger me, trigger my family, or trigger people in general. And one of them was a trigger, but and it was like most of them are positive. It's not like a negative thing. It was just like one of the triggers was Kevin Hart, and this is before he got hurt, but it was just like geez, he's in my phone, he banks with me, he gambles with me, he wants me to buy NFTs. I'm like so happy that he wants generational wealth, but God, he's got to stop, because he's everywhere, which is great, but it's also like scary.
Can't get away from him.
Yeah, but in a good way, because I want him to, share some of his money with me. And then I have like different words that people will see and they'll be like, "Oh no!" Like one of them is physical exam, and it's a trigger to certain people, and it was definitely a trigger to my mom. My mom's 92, and she lives in Connecticut. I live in New York, and I call her every week, see how she's doing. And she told me she's going to the doctor for a physical, and she was nervous. And I said, "It's just a physical exam. It'll be fine." And I called her the next week. She was real quiet. I was like, "What's wrong?" She's like, "Nothing." I said, "What's wrong? How did the doctor go?" She said, "It's fine." And I'm like, "Mom, what's going on?" And she's like, "Well, he asked me a question." And I was like, "Well, that's what they do. They're doctors, She's like, "Well, she asked me a question because, you know, I've, I'm, I'm been with your dad, and we've been married for over 50 years, like very old school." And I was like, "So, I mean, so he asked you a question, big deal." So she goes, "During the physical examination, he asked me if I was sexually active. And I said, no, I usually just lay there."
He does
She's
all
like,
the work.
yeah, she's like, "Do you think he's a pervert?" And I said, "No, man, the doctor's just he's never heard that answer before. There's no way he's ever." I said, "Did he turn red?" She's like, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, I think he had a good time because that's a great answer."
He
So
just made his day.
yeah, yeah. I was like, so I I have the book. The adult book is out now on Amazon if you just Google 31 triggers. And if any of your viewers or listeners want the um audiobook, I can give it to them for free for being, your fans or followers. All they got to do is email 31, the number 31 triggers at Gmail, say they heard our podcast, and then I'll just shoot them out the book. It's actually the first book that's ever been published on YouTube, so it's pretty cool.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Appreciate it.
And so there's a new book I'm working on that's for kids and adults. So like you could have the same trigger word and have two different feelings from each group. So like one of them is travel team. And so like the kid will come home to his parents and say, "Hey mom, I made the travel team for soccer." Right. And the kid's super excited, but the parents are like, "Damn it. Now every weekend we have to travel for some stupid soccer tournament." So the kids and adult book also has like a journal in it so that they can like share their thoughts on different things that come up. But the adult book is a very good one too, because it's got stuff about, if you read about crab legs, it turns into an interesting story about a date that turns into a foodie call, which is not a booty call. But I learned the hard way. And then also in the kids one, there's a phrase that every kid, including us as kids, is the ultimate trigger that drives us nuts, right? Like will drive us absolutely insane. And all the kids that I talked to are like, "What is it?" And I said, "Well, your parents, it happened to your parents. Now they use it because they're adults. But when they were kids, it's a 4-word sentence. And the only way I can explain it is a story. Like I was 11 years old and it was a Friday and I finished my homework and I came downstairs and I said, "Hey mom, I finished my homework. I cleaned my room. I'm going to go to Frankie's for a sleepover." And she said, "No." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Are you ready? Now you ready for the 4 words? You ready?" She said, "Because I said so." And it just drove me nuts.
And they say that all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And all the kids who have ever told this story, they're like, "Oh my God." And then I said, "Wait, it gets worse." So I should have just left it alone there, right? But when I was doing I did an unauthorized Netflix comedy special about the book, and I went further than just that scenario, which is true. I challenged her and my dad. So after she said that, I was like, okay. So I went into the family room. My dad's watching TV. And I said, "Can I go to a sleepover at Frankie's?" And I didn't think they were working together. You know what I mean? And he had a 5-word sentence. And he said, "What did your mother say?" And I was like, damn it. So then, like, again, don't go any farther than I did. So then I went even farther. And I said to my mom, "Guess what? You know what? Tommy's mom's letting him go." And she said, "I'm not Tommy's mother." And I was like, "Geez, man." So we're just standing in the kitchen. All of a sudden, she looks me dead in the eye and she goes, "Philip?" And I said, "Yeah." She goes, do I ever compare you to another kid?" And I said, "No." And she goes, "Don't you ever compare me to another mother." And that was it. Wow. That was it,
Bro,
man.
this is so relatable, bro. What?
Yeah. But it got better. So I start the book with the "because I said so," right? And I finish the book with another 4-word sentence that kind of has the real meaning of "because I said so," which is, when your parents don't let you do something or your adults don't let you do something, part of it is "because I said so," but the other part is "because I love you." And I was like, yeah, I'm going to end the book like that because it ends on a positive note. You know what I mean? Your
Great.
parents are just doing the adults or whoever, just trying to do the best they can.
Yeah.
I mean, once kids turn into adults, they're just like, wow, you know.
Yeah, you don't realize how much they sacrifice for you because they care
Right.
about you and they want you to be a decent human being, but
Right.
we
And they
don't
might
see it.
say because I said so, and they don't give you a real good reason, but 20 years later, they were right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Like when they're little
so
kids and they like to run off, you know, hold my hand, stay here. Why?
yeah,
Because I said so, right? And then
right,
you
right,
don't
right.
want to tell them like, hey, because somebody could
But,
kidnap you and kill you.
right. Part of it also, now that I look back on it, is um it's funny because I know now a little bit more because one of the other trigger words or phrases that I have is pre-existing condition. So I had hurt my knees and had to get surgery. And when I was in the surgery thing, they asked me if I had any pre-existing conditions, and I said, "Oh, you know, when I was little, I used to wet the bed." And they're like, "No, no," you know, they're like something major, not wetting the bed. And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." So um, they wheel me into the room to do the operation, and I'm laying down, but they have like a curtain that's like blocking me from looking down at my waist. And they're like, "Oh yeah, we can operate on your knees and we'll just numb you from the waist down and you know, you'll be coherent while we're doing this." And I was like, "Okay, try it." So they did, and it started like it was weird. They're like weird noises and stuff. So I was like, "Just knock me out." Right. So they knocked me out. I wake up in the operating room and I'm like, "Oh no." There's like fluid all over the floor. And I'm like, "Oh, doctor, I'm sorry. I told you I used to wet the bed." And he goes, "No, no, no, you didn't pee on us." And I said, "You sure?" He said, "No, no, no. You were really funny. We kept spilling things." And I said, "What do you mean I was really funny?" And he said, "You kept coming in and out of consciousness, asking us if it was going to be a boy or a girl." I was like, man, I don't remember that. So they're the triggers are stuff that's happened to me, stuff that's happened to my family. There's audience participation. If they have something they want to get off their chest, they can do it. And there's one that everybody likes when they see it because they're just confused. They're like, "What's Mike Gonzalez? How does Mike Gonzalez trigger you?" And I was like, "Oh, um, I do a lot of freelance work, and I'll get texts from people like, 'Hey, did you get paid from that job?' And I like to use talk to text, or I used to. And I was like to one person, I was doing a talk text, like talking to the phone. I said, "Oh yeah, you could get the money from Mike Gonzalez." And the talk to text said, "You can get the money from my penis." And
It was fucked up is the text you learns how you text, you know.
right, right. And I was like, when was the last time I talked about my penis on the phone? But apparently, apparently Siri knows about my penis. Just kind of scary. Um, but I have two new ones that are triggers, but also um life hacks or home hack. You never see those things like when you watch the videos and you're like, "Oh, what a hack," you know, something that changes your bathroom or
Mhm.
whatever, you know what I mean? So one of my triggers is iced coffee because I don't know where you live, but like where in New York, there's like a huge price difference between a regular coffee and an iced coffee, right? An iced coffee
Mhm.
is super expensive. So I was like, this is ridiculous. So one day I went into deli and you know, like there's the area where the coffee is and the fountain where the iced coffee is, right? So I grab a large cup from the thing, but it's the hot cup. You know what I mean?
So they charge you for that.
And I put it under the iced coffee and I look around and I make sure no one sees me do it. And then I come up to the deli guy and I pretend it's really hot and he charges me only for a hot coffee. So that was one of my hacks. And people are like, "Oh, that's great. I'm going to use that one."
That's
And then my
smart.
newest one, which is another coffee hack, um, which I love. And it's a Starbucks one or any of these places where, you know, when you have to put in your order and then you have to say your name, say Beyonce, and hopefully they'll say it, because you'll see the whole place go nuts when they're like, "We have an order for Beyonce," and I come running up and grabbing it, and people think, "Oh my God, Philip's bringing coffee to Beyonce." So
The,
that's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to just uh, to use the triggers to kind of open up, and people, share their stories, and then you realize it's like it's not like a rant or a screaming kind of show about negative stuff. It's just how weird stuff weirdly triggers us. There's also things that were triggering that are now trending, like folding chairs were a trigger, but now they're trending, right? People have folding chair earrings and t-shirts. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Once a month. And it comes out the first week of the month. And it's funny because people have such a short attention span that they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I forgot all about Kevin Hart," or "Oh yeah, I forgot about the folding chairs." You know, if something's topical. So it's kind of wild.
Yeah, when I first read 31 triggers, I thought it was like 31 things that pisses people off, something like that.
Yeah. I could do that, but then like people have seen the show before and they're like, no, they like that there's a nice balance. And there's like weird stuff, right? So like one of them is air mattress. People are like, how does an air mattress trigger you? And I said, well, I live in New York City, and a tiny, apartment, and I was leaving my apartment while my neighbor was come no, I was coming into mine and he was leaving, and we met, and it was, like, he kind of like are flustered. So he's like, "Oh, Philip, I was just about to donate this air mattress to the Salvation Army. I didn't open it. I never used it. It's all in this box, and I was gonna use it because my grandmother was gonna come over, but she's not feeling well, and I don't think I'm gonna need it. And I know you have people over, so do you want it?" And I was like, "Oh," and I looked at it, and it's a really nice one. It's got the pump, so it deflates itself and all that stuff.
Oh,
And I was like, "Oh,
fancy.
that's really nice." So I walk into my apartment, and I'm walking in, and all of a sudden I stare at it and I start cursing at it. And I'm like, "This thing, air mattress, this son of a biscuit." I was like, "Screw this guy. He says he knows I have people over." So I opened up my bedroom window and I threw it out the window. And I told my friends, they're like, "What is wrong with you?" And I was like, "I don't care. He's a nosy man. I know you have people over. Get out of here." So
Does he know? No, just
yeah, I'm like, "How the hell? What, he's got a glass, he's putting it on the wall. Oh, Philip needs an air mattress. So like, that's why some people are like, they're some of them are absurd, some of them are bizarre. Um, a couple of them are like just talking about like simple things like fishing, and like I have no sympathy for fish. Like I don't think it's fair to hunt, with guns and stuff. It's easier. It should be more balanced, like with a bow and arrow. But we've been fishing with a hook and a worm for like 300, 400, 500 years, and they can't figure it out. That's their problem. You know what I mean?
that's facts, bro.
Yeah. And then my friend took me fishing, and he's trying to sell me on it. And I'm like, "No, I like fishing. I haven't done it a lot." But he's like, "No, dude, we caught 40 fish uh yes last week." And I go, and then I had a phrase that triggered me, and I said, was it catch and release?" He's like, "Yeah, it's awesome." I said, "Dude, you caught the same fish 40 times, you jackhole.
Fuck.
There's not 40 different fish if you do catch and release, right? I mean, if you think about it,
True.
right?"
Yep.
So it's like, "You didn't catch," and he's like, "Shut up, man. You're still gonna have a good time." And I did. I caught a fish, caught a couple actually. It was good.
That fish is telling the other fish, hey, these guys
Yeah.
feed you for free if you get a
Free
hook in your
food, man.
mouth.
You get a snack, you got to go up, up on the boat, but then he throws you back. Like, come on, man. So there's a good mixture of stuff from my family to me to my friends. There's a lot about like the internet. I had a friend text me. The trigger word was my condolences, and he texted me. He's like, "My condolences, man. I heard about your mom," and I was like, "Huh?" And I knew she was sick, but I had called her because the the ambulance picked her up at the condo, and then she went to the emergency room. They fixed her up. She came home, and so I call her and I go, "Oh, people think you're dead." She's like, "Oh, geez, I hate this condo. They're so nosy." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, when they put me on the stretcher and they wheeled me out of the condo, I just put the sheet over my head because I was embarrassed. I didn't want people to see me. I said, "Well, they think you're dead." So he's like, "That's better off."
Oh my God, bro.
Right? It's crazy.
Hey, that's a pretty good idea though. Put the
Yeah, it
window
is. It
on there.
is. I mean, if you want to get out of some problems, you
Get out
got
of
some
debt.
credit card debt, you got
Yeah.
things you can worry about. You got Mike Gonzalez looking for his money. There you go.
Facts, bro. Love it. Love it. And how long did it take you to write the first book?
Um, it took me a while because I had all the components of what I wanted to talk about, and I didn't have the title. And I knew that if I didn't have a good title, no matter what I wrote, it's not gonna resonate. You know what I mean? Because people are gonna be like, "I don't get it."
Mm.
So as soon as I hit 31 triggers, I was like, "Oh, that makes sense." It's easy to type into Amazon to get the book. The book is big, like not big, but it's a paperback, but it's kind of like a coloring book. It's pretty big, and there's sections where you can write in it. So I wanted to make sure it stood out. And then with um the adult book was the first one, the kids and adults is the second, and then the third book that's going to come out is going to be based on like topics. So when you open up the I don't call it a table of contents, I call it a triggers of contents. So when you open up the third book, it's going to be like a section just for when you're traveling, what kind of trigger words are there, when you have a kid, stuff like that. So it's gonna be like an ongoing series. The podcast is on um, YouTube at 31 Triggers. So if you do that, it's up there. There's a whole bunch of episodes. Um, I'm also doing more specific stuff because I'm a Jets fan, a New York Jets fan. So some sports only triggers that I have up there. So I'm trying to have a main podcast that comes out, and it's usually between 5 and 10 minutes, and then break them out individually in case something like the Kevin Hart thing comes out. Then I can have that one, and then people can just share that. They don't have to watch the whole thing. But September 27th, let me see. I have my promo here. September 27th, I am doing it live at this bookstore called Whalebone in New York City. And if anybody wants to come for free, just email me 31triggers@gmail.com. Say I want free tickets to see the show, or if you can't make it, say I want to get a free copy of the book, the audio book.
Love it.
Or you can go to Amazon and buy the real book too.
Yes, everybody
That's
listening.
only that's $10. It's $9.99, so it's not that expensive.
Oh, nice. And it's
Yeah.
fun to read. It'll
Oh
make
yeah, yeah. And it's got like, if you see here, that's the book cover. So if you're like reading it on a bus or a train, people are gonna be like, "What the hell is that?"
and I love
And the
it.
podcast, and the podcast is me animated, is the animated face down at the bottom.
It's fucking
I
cool, bro.
figured I figured people would rather watch me animated than, real.
I love that.
Yeah.
And also, um, do you have anything else in the works? Any more ideas coming up?
I have a my brother and I do a show that's kind of like American Idol for actors, and we're in the works to get that produced, but we're dealing with the actors and writers strike right now. So once that gets settled, we'll have that come out. Once I know that, I'll definitely come back on the show and talk to you about that one. That'll be fun.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure.
Where are you located, by the way?
I'm in Tucson, Arizona.
Oh, that's right, Arizona. And how did you come up with the name of your show?
So my name is Chuy, right? But
All right.
I couldn't come up with a name, bro. And for like, everybody has that one email you had since high school.
Yeah. That's a trigger. I have that too. Yeah.
So I still have that email and it's
Oh,
screamingchewy
perfect.
at gmail.com. So I just use that.
All right. So here's one for you, right? Here's a trigger. It's emails or emailism. Like there's ageism and racism. Now there's an ism for your email address. So, like I said, my brother and I produced this show for actors, like an actors showcase, and a lot of times we get models that come because models want to be actresses and actresses want to be models and sing, that kind of thing. So I had this girl come up to me after the show. She's a model, and she's like, so many people, and could I like email you my portfolio and maybe you could give me some advice and stuff? And I said, sure. And she said, what's your email? And I said, it's pgalinsky@hotmail.com. She goes, Hotmail? Ugh, how old are you?
Fuck. Ouch.
I was like, I'm not old, I'm loyal. I still have it. I barely use it, but I'm just like, if you ask a kid now who's what, maybe 21, I mean, their email probably is like Lovey Justin Bieber Huggy Baby 24. You know what I mean?
I tell him I made my email when I had dial-up internet.
Right. At least I didn't have AOL. I said Hotmail. She was
Yo,
just like,
facts.
she was totally grossed out. I was like, what if it was Yahoo? She said, maybe. I was like, wow. That's
Hey, we're
unbelievable.
OGs, bro. We're OGs.
Yeah. And then the other one is like, the one that just drives me crazy is these younger kids just they don't set up their voicemail and they don't check it. I don't know what that's all about. They're just like, oh, it's so annoying. Just text me. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yep.
get
Or they
it.
don't
I
answer
get
the
it.
phone, but they text you. You're like, I know
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
busy.
yeah, yeah. I have one more for you. So this was from my niece. So like, everybody's into texting and abbreviating everything, right? And so my birthday came and um a bunch of people wished me happy birthday, and I was like online and like Facebook and Instagram and all this stuff, and I'm like, wow, that's really thoughtful. Then I realized they know, like, the social media sites know your birthday because you put it in there, right? And I totally forgot about that. So here I am thinking my niece is real thoughtful, but then she just writes HBD. She can't even write out the whole thing, right? So I'm pissed. And a week later, I get a letter from her, like a real letter mailed in the thing. And I'm like, wow, I wonder if she found out I was upset about the birthday thing. She's writing me a letter. And then I see it and it's like, oh, she's getting married. It's like an announcement, right? So I go on social media and I go, oh, okay, here's payback. I wrote, I'm so excited. My niece just gave me an STD. And I left it up there. And people were like, oh, gross. She called me. She goes, what are you doing? I said, I just abbreviated, save the date, STD. She's like, oh, you're a jerk. I said, well, remember that the next time you wish me happy birthday.
Oh man. Yep, that's a trigger and a half right there.
That's right. My niece gave me an STD. Huh? Wow. That's
Love it.
that's on a lot of levels, that one.
Love it, man. And I'm looking forward for your other stuff. Definitely check out his book, everybody. 31 triggers at gmail.com.
Yep. And just look me up, PHILIPGALINSKY.com or my name.com/31 triggers. And if you want the book, the audio book, just email me and I'll send it to you.
Appreciate it, man. And everyone, the links will be on the episode description. And I'd love to thank you for coming on, man. You're a fun guy.
All right, cool, man. Thanks. I'm definitely gonna be back once we get that strike settled and we get the show coming up for
Oh
you.
man, I can't wait. That's gonna be lit, bro.
All right, cool.
All right, thanks, bro. Peace.
All right, see you later.